There comes a moment in life when holding on hurts more than letting go. When the love you gave, the time you spent, and the tears you shed begin to feel like chains around your soul. And in that moment, you have one choice: to stay trapped in someone else's world or to break free and return home to yourself. Here are 5 rules that will guide you on how to emotionally detach from someone you're not, to become heartless but to become whole. Rule number 1, accept the truth, no matter how painful it is. Stop romanticizing the potential of someone who repeatedly showed you their reality. Stop thinking that your love can fix what they refuse to heal in themselves. When you face the truth, really face it, you stop begging for crumbs and start looking for a feast within yourself. Rule number 2, set firm emotional boundaries. Block them, mute them, unfollow them, do whatever it takes. This isn't about being immature, it's about survival. Emotional detachment isn't passive, it's powerful. It says, I refuse to let your energy disturb my peace anymore. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors that only open to those who respect your space. Rule number 3, reconnect with your purpose. Who were you before they entered your life? What dreams did you have before you lost yourself in trying to make them stay? Healing begins the moment you stop asking why they left and start asking, what can I build now that they're gone? Turn your pain into a blueprint. Let it fuel your transformation. Rule number 4, channel your energy into growth. You spent enough nights crying. Now it's time to create, time to evolve, learn a new skill, start a journal, hit the gym, start that project. Don't let your emotional energy go to waste, use it to become the version of yourself they never got to meet. Rule number 5, practice self-compassion like your life depends on it, because it does. Some days will feel like you're back at square one. You'll miss their voice, their smile, even their silence. And that's okay. Healing isn't a straight line, it's a messy masterpiece. But promise yourself one thing: never again will you abandon yourself just to feel close to someone else. Letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Detaching emotionally doesn't make you cold, it makes you free. And freedom, my friend, is where the real healing begins. Emotional detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means becoming heartless, numb, or shutting the door on your feelings completely. But that's not what true detachment is. Real emotional detachment is choosing your peace over chaos. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about learning to care without losing yourself. It's about loving someone without allowing that love to control or consume you. When you're emotionally attached to someone who no longer values your presence, you start compromising pieces of yourself to keep the connection alive. You start walking on eggshells, second-guessing your worth, and tolerating behaviors you once promised yourself you never would. Your identity gets tangled in their moods, their responses, their attention. One minute you feel seen, the next you feel invisible, and slowly you lose sight of who you are outside of them. That's where emotional detachment becomes necessary, not as a defense mechanism, but as a form of emotional self-respect. It's recognizing that you can't keep pouring into someone who leaves your cup empty. It's stepping back from the roller coaster of mixed signals and false hope and choosing stability within yourself instead. Detaching doesn't mean you don't love them anymore. It doesn't mean the memories vanish or the feelings suddenly disappear. It means you stop letting those memories dictate your present. It means you stop chasing the version of them that only existed in the beginning and start confronting the truth of who they are now. And that takes courage, because the truth is never easy when your heart is still full. But the more you choose your peace, the more you begin to reclaim your power. You begin to see that emotional detachment doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. You stop asking questions they won't answer. You stop waiting for closure they're not willing to give. You stop begging for the bare minimum and start giving yourself everything you once asked them for. You'll start to notice the little things. The silence that used to hurt you no longer affects you the same way. The urge to text them fades. The obsession with checking their social media softens. You begin to think about them less and think about yourself more, not in a selfish way, but in a healing way. You begin to realize that your world doesn't revolve around their validation. What you once thought was love, you'll see more clearly as emotional dependency. And what you once called loyalty, you'll now understand was a fear of letting go. The clarity that comes from detachment is like breathing fresh air after holding your breath for too long. You start showing up for yourself. You start investing in your growth, your passions, your inner peace. And slowly the grip they had on your mind loosens. People will say you've changed, that you become distant. But you haven't become distant, you become self-aware. You learn that your emotions are valuable and that not everyone deserves front row access to your heart. You've realized that love doesn't always mean holding on. Sometimes it means letting go with grace. You don't have to shut off your heart to detach emotionally. You just have to remember who you were before you made someone else the center of your world. You have to believe that your peace is worth protecting, even if it means walking away from what once felt like everything. Because in the end, peace isn't found in another person, it's found in your ability to stand whole and unshaken, even when they're no longer by your side. Letting go is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, not because you're weak, but because you love deeply. You invested your time, your energy, your vulnerability and your dreams into someone who may never have fully appreciated it. And the thought of walking away feels like failure, like giving up on something that once meant the world to you. But here's what no one tells you: letting go isn't the end, it's a beginning. It's not a sign of defeat, it's a sign of growth. Because when you choose to let go, you're not losing them, you're choosing you. You're choosing to stop waiting for the apology that may never come. You're choosing to stop fighting for a connection that constantly left you drained. You're choosing to stop chasing the illusion of what could have been and finally accept what is. That's not weakness, that's strength, that's power. That's self-love in its rawest, most courageous form. When you let go, something shifts inside you. It's like waking up from a long dream, a dream where you believed that love was supposed to hurt, that waiting patiently would eventually bring change, that your silence was noble, and your sacrifices would eventually be seen. But reality hits, and it hits hard. It tells you, you can't keep watering a dead flower and expect it to bloom. You can't keep giving your all to someone who only shows up when it's convenient. You deserve more than being an option. You deserve to be chosen freely, completely and consistently. And that's the truth that makes letting go powerful. It's not about forgetting them or pretending the pain didn't happen. It's about finally realizing that their absence doesn't define your value. That just because someone walked away or couldn't love you the way you needed, doesn't mean you're not worthy of love. Their inability to meet you where you stood doesn't make you less. It just means you were giving what they weren't ready or willing to receive. You see, holding on to someone who no longer adds value to your life is a form of self-abandonment. Every time you prioritize their happiness over your mental health, every time you excuse their behavior just to keep the peace, every time you silence your voice to avoid confrontation, you abandon yourself a little more. And the longer you do that, the more disconnected you become from your own needs, your own identity, your own truth. But letting go, that's the turning point. That's when you say, enough. That's when you begin to rebuild. That's when you stop shrinking to fit into someone else's world and start expanding into your own. You begin to dream again, you begin to feel again, not the pain of rejection, but the hope of what lies ahead. You stop looking backward and start stepping forward, slowly but surely, with a clearer mind and a stronger heart. The beauty of letting go is that it brings you back to yourself. It gives you space to breathe, to think, to heal. It allows you to rediscover what makes you happy, what sets your soul on fire, what gives your life meaning outside of another person. And in that rediscovery, you will find a strength you forgot you had, a light that never really went out, just dimmed under the weight of unreciprocated love. You don't lose when you let go, you win. You reclaim your energy. You regain your clarity, you remember your worth, and that's a victory far greater than holding on to someone who was never meant to stay. Letting go is not the end of love, it's the beginning of freedom, the beginning of becoming everything you were always meant to be. You don't heal by staying connected to the pain. You don't grow by constantly reopening wounds that should have been closed. Healing begins the moment you make the decision to come back to yourself, to stop waiting for someone else to do the healing for you, and realize that your recovery was never their job to begin with. The longer you stay attached to what broke you, the harder it becomes to move forward. You're not meant to live in emotional limbo, stuck between the person you were with them and the person you could become without them. Sometimes we think staying connected through memories, social media, or even occasional texts will help us transition more gently, that maybe the slow fade is less painful than the sudden break. But it's not. It's just dragging out the ache, like pulling a knife out slowly instead of removing it in one sharp motion. Staying attached even in subtle ways keeps your nervous system on edge. You're constantly scanning for signs, analyzing words, waiting for something that may never come. And that's no way to live. That's surviving, not healing. Reconnecting to yourself is where everything changes. It's when you stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for peace. It's when you ask yourself, what do I need? What do I deserve? Not based on someone else's capacity to give, but based on your own inherent worth. You begin to shift the focus away from them, what they're doing, who they're with, whether they miss you, and turn that energy into self-discovery. You reclaim your time, you reclaim your voice, you reclaim your power. When you're constantly attached to someone who hurt you or left you, your energy remains trapped in the past. And if your energy is living in the past, you can't fully show up in the present. Every conversation, every thought, every dream still echoes their name. That's why healing demands disconnection. Not because they don't matter, but because you do. And healing isn't about forgetting them, it's about remembering you, remembering the version of yourself that existed before the heartbreak. Remembering the goals, the laughter, the strength, the light. Because all of it is still in you. It's just been buried under disappointment and pain. You heal by choosing yourself daily. You heal by not texting them even when you miss them. You heal by not checking their stories even when curiosity burns. You heal by surrounding yourself with people who remind you of your worth, not your wounds. Healing is in the little decisions. The moment you breathe through the urge to reach out, the time you sit with the sadness instead of numbing it, the choice to go for a walk instead of spiraling into overthinking. These are the quiet victories that add up. They don't always feel like progress, but they are. Healing isn't loud. It's not always triumphant. Often it's slow and silent, happening in the shadows where no one claps for you, but it's real, it's raw, and it's yours. Some days you'll feel like you moved on. Other days, the memories will sting. That's okay. That's part of it. Healing isn't linear. But each time you choose yourself, you're strengthening the foundation beneath you. You're not just patching the cracks, they're becoming part of the mosaic that makes you more whole. Eventually, the person you once missed so much becomes a passing thought. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring more about yourself. The connection you're clinging to loses its grip. Not because it didn't matter, but because it no longer controls you. You begin to realize that peace was never found in their presence, it was found in your ability to stand without them. The most powerful healing happens when you stop asking, will they come back? And start saying, I'm already home. So here you're still standing. Maybe your heart feels bruised. Maybe your spirit's been stretched thin, but look at you. You made it through sleepless nights, silent tears, and the kind of pain that doesn't show on the surface. You've been through the storm, but the storm didn't take you. And now it's time to rise. It's time to stop waiting for closure from someone who never gave you clarity. Time to stop breaking your own heart just to keep the memory of someone else alive. Let them go. Let the weight fall off your shoulders. Let the silence between you speak louder than their words ever did. You don't need them to understand your worth, you just need to know it for yourself. You are not here to be an emotional punching bag. You are not here to shrink for someone else's comfort. You are here to evolve, to grow, to rediscover parts of yourself you buried while trying to hold on to someone who didn't know how to love you right. You don't owe anyone your destruction for the sake of love. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself healing. You owe yourself a future that feels light, free, and full of joy. And you're capable of creating iTunes choice one day, one breath at a time. So walk forward, not because you don't feel pain, but because you're strong enough to carry it and still rise. Detachment isn't rejection, it's redirection, a sacred return to yourself. You've given enough, you've tried enough. Now it's your time. Your time to choose you fully, unapologetically, powerfully. And when you do, you won't just survive this chapter. You'll rewrite the entire story.